The Kaiser Phoenix blog for the third week of October is brought to you by koala bears. We'd like to remind you that we are not bears, and we are not very cute when we are gnawing on your face. That is all. Kaiser Phoenix here. Now, the most interesting thing that happened this week didn't necessarily involve me, but it involved a subject I am not quite an expert on, but I know enough to be able to know what I'm talking about. And by that I mean there was some guy in Zanesville, Ohio, who decided to release 50-some wild animals before killing himself. Now, I worked at a zoo, I worked at a big cat rescue center, and I worked at a place, the Humane Society, that would go out and rescue animals from bad situations, whether it be a hoarder or a breeding facility, or basically people that were profiting from animals or not taking care of them in a proper way. So, I have seen what happens when people mistreat animals or keep them in a way that is not healthy for the animals or for themselves. And I've seen what can happen to both the animals and the people. In this situation, it should have never happened. This was in Zanesville, Ohio, a town of about 125,000 people. They do not know what to do. Well, I guess they can know what to do, but they don't have the means to take care of an emergency or a disaster like this. You think the sheriff's department for that small a town is going to have tranquilizers or any sort of equipment to deal with big predators on the prowl? I mean, these 50 animals weren't deer or squirrels or something like that. The guy had 18 tigers, 17 lions, I think 8 bears across 2 different species, 3 mountain lions, baboons, which can rip your face off pretty easily, and other large, dangerous animals. I don't know why he killed himself. It could have been depression. I don't know why he let the animals out before he killed himself. He could have been guilty about keeping them in crappy surroundings. It could have been trying to get back at the people around him who he's been in conflict with for years. But either way, the government was aware, the government, or at least law enforcement, and the animal, I don't know if you want to call it the private animal care community, was aware of this situation, the fact that this guy shouldn't have had these animals. He'd been convicted of animal cruelty in 2005. He owned something like over 100 guns he should not have owned because he didn't have a license for them or whatever. I don't know gun laws. He went to jail recently and came back. He owed tens of, I guess it was $70,000 or something like that to the IRS. Why does he have 50 animals? He releases them at about dusk in Zanesville, Ohio, before shooting himself. The sheriffs had pretty much no option but to go out there as night was falling and take out the animals as they saw them before they could get away and kill someone the next day. And that's not an overstatement of what could have happened. These are lions and tigers, 300, 400, 500-pound predatory animals that are suddenly in a place they've never been to, having to deal with hunger and fear and things like that. The Columbus Zoo came down and tried to help out with the situation, tranquilizing some animals, but tranquilizing an animal is very difficult at dusk even. They were worried if they tranquilized the animal and it fell asleep and got up and walked away if they couldn't find it, because when the animal gets shot, it doesn't instantly go down. There's a period of time where it gets woozy and then eventually passes out. Or it could kill you after it gets shot, and that's, in one instance, that is what it tried to do. The tiger got tranquilized and then went for the person that tranked it, and they had to shoot it with close-range firearms in very close range. This was a horrible, horrible thing that happened for the animals and what could have been potentially for the people in the area. Somebody hit one of the lions with their cars. This is a surreal situation, but it goes a long way in showing that exotic animal regulation in the United States, especially Ohio, is a joke. There are certain states that have regulation that you can't have certain animals. There's certain states where you need a permit, which is not that hard to get sometimes. There's certain states that just don't give a crap. I don't know if it's just never come up, or the exotic animal, I don't know if you want to call it industry or collective of people that like keeping exotic animals blocks the legislation from happening. I don't know. But in Ohio, clearly, it doesn't take much to own one of these exotic animals and to keep them in an area close to other human beings. I mean, How do you buy 50 carnivores and take care of them? You probably can't. That was the situation here. Personally, I think there's a list of things that just shouldn't be permitted to be owned by private citizens. Zoo, when properly staffed and properly equipped and properly set up, can take care of a tiger. A single person, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible and responsible. I just don't think it can happen. Big cats, bears, other large predators, elephants for that matter, or giraffes. I don't think a single person should own an elephant. It's just a bad thing waiting to happen. Wild animals like smaller snakes, probably not a big deal. But something like a tiger? I don't think so. If you have any opinions on the subject of wild animals in captivity, or private captivity, or anything like that, leave it down here. I'm curious to know what you guys think, as you had interesting opinions on the Tillicum situation, so I'd like to know. Now, believe it or not, the wife of this person that killed himself, who they were having problems, also an animal lover, actually wants the 6 animals back that survived this entire encounter. The Columbus Zoo was able to capture, without killing, 3 leopards, a couple bears, and a monkey, or is a monkey, or 2 monkeys and a bear. I don't really remember. She wants them back. And this is someone who's gone on record and saying that when she slept there, she slept with a monkey in her bed. Now that's a horrible idea, and I'll tell you why. When it comes to working in a zoo or working with animals in general, or working with rehab animals or whatever, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, that you need to keep an actual mental barrier between you and the animal. Because if you breach that barrier and that animal decides to just, screw it, I'm going to mess you up, you cannot fix it. If the tiger decides to kill you, it's going to kill you. And if you treat it like it's your buddy, one day it will flip the switch and it will kill you. I love animals. I think they're amazing and fascinating beings. But I have to keep that in mind when I work with animals so that I don't get hurt. And a lot of these people, these private citizens that have these animals, and even some people in the zoos, will cross that line to their own endangerment and the endangerment of the animal. Because what do you think happens to the animal when that line gets crossed? It doesn't win in the end. It's the one that's going to get killed as well, whether it be by the shotgun of a police officer responding to the situation or what have you. I don't think she should have these animals back. It's just not a good idea. You shouldn't give the bear back to the person who's kissing the bear through the bars of the cage. It's just not responsible. Now, since I've already gone 8 minutes on this rant, I'll talk about a couple of the random things that happened this week. I had to go home to another state in order to get a chauffeur's license for work, and I got it. Everything's A-okay with that. I'll start using that on Monday for a different facet of my job. Now, one of you, I believe Shinobi, figured out in what general metro I live in, and it's not something I necessarily give out for free, but it looks like the sports team here that people are rooting for just decided to make Game 3 not that interesting at all and just totally hit a bunch of homers all over the place. Which would be interesting if I cared about baseball, which I don't really. I like basketball, I guess, but we won't have much of a basketball season this year, it seems like. Though my team hasn't lost a game yet. I messed up that joke. Anyway, if you got opinions on the animal situation, put them down there. I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.